You know what really pisses me off? I'll be looking at my phone, and then I get a notification from Twitter saying, hey, this person, and this person all started following the Grammys.
I don't use the Twitter. I don't use their client. I use something else.
I've turned off everything else. I've turned off everything. So I don't get notifications unless it's someone sending me a direct message or, directing a message to me via tweet. And for some reason, I got this message saying, all these people are following the Grammys. You should too. And you know what that makes me want to say?
What does that make you want to say?
Oh my God, I don't care.
I don't care.
After almost a decade, Brad and Angelina tied the knot. In May, a security camera captured footage of Dean and Kim
Oh my God, I don't care!
So apparently, the big news story this week that we're recording this anyway is that Kim Kardashian and Kanye West are going to attend the Grammys together for the first time.
Oh my God, I don't care. Okay, mine. I don't know if you heard, but the 50 Shades of Grey movie is coming out on Valentine's Day.
Oh my God, I don't care.
Okay, what's yours?
I didn't have another one. What the fuck?
I guess that's it.
Oh my God.
You know, something that I really don't care about besides Kanye
Yeah.
is that he and Paul McCartney are actually releasing a record, or they have released it.
Oh no.
Did you hear about that?
No, because I don't care.
were you just doing another one, or you just
No, yes and no. I mean, yeah. I really don't care.
For a while there,
you can use that.
I do like David Bowie, but I felt like
Are you comparing David Bowie to Paul McCartney? Because
I'm not comparing them. I'm just saying that David Bowie for a while there wasn't releasing albums,
right? But
he was releasing like duets with other people. Like he did one with Mick Jagger. He did one with not.
You're talking about Dancing in the Streets?
Yeah,
that's like
that was horrible.
Was that 1986? Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
They played it before Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I had to sit through that before seeing Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
What, you mean that was like a sneak peek? The theater?
No, they played the movie. It was like in where the like before the or after the trailers, they played Dancing in the Street, and then they played the feature.
Oh, okay. Like in a drive-in or in the movie theater?
In the movie theater.
Really? They used to play music videos in like movie theaters?
No, it wasn't a normal thing. That happened that one time. Sometimes they play like cartoon. Like in the old days, sometimes they would play cartoon shorts.
I remember the cartoons, yeah, for sure. Especially in front of Disney movies, they always threw in a cartoon at the beginning. But anyway, the point was that David Bowie was doing all these, like he did one with Queen, right? Like he did Under Pressure, which is a great song. I don't mind that one.
Until Vanilla Ice came along and raped it.
Raped it, yeah. And then he made, like, years later, he made one with Trent Reznor and, I'm Afraid of Americans. And these aren't all, well, the Dancing on the Street song is bad, but every other song that he did, whenever he did a duet with somebody, like whenever he collaborated with somebody else, it's what it seems like he was always doing. And Paul McCartney is like the complete opposite of that, where every song that he did was just like this poppy bullshit. And maybe I like the two Michael Jackson songs that he did, right, which was Say 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 and The Girl Is Mine. Do you remember those two songs?
Nope.
Those two songs aren't too bad. They're poppy songs, whatever. But when I hear like Paul McCartney getting together with other people, like he did Ebony and Ivory with Stevie Wonder. Actually, that one's not bad either. But what the hell was Paul McCartney thinking? Getting together with that idiot.
Which idiot? No,
Kanye West.
Kanye West. I don't know.
You know, I mean, he's probably my least favorite Beatle.
He's
I'm gonna say.
He's not a smart man. I don't get the impression that he's a smart man. He strikes me as kind of a dumbass. There's
a story where and I agree with you, but there was a story where he when he collaborated with Michael Jackson actually said to him, hey, let me handle the rights to some Beatles songs. And don't worry, it'll be protected. Like, I'll make sure nothing happens to them. Just give me the rights to it.
I don't think Michael Jackson was given the rights to the song. I think Michael Jackson bought the rights to the song. And I didn't get the impression
I'm
if they
sure
were
money
sold,
was involved. I wasn't saying that he was just
if they were sold, it was like
yeah.
it was after he died, I guess, because I thought he had the rights up until he died. Well, maybe he
No.
sold them earlier because he was
No,
broke
he
or
didn't,
something.
because Jackson was still alive. I remember somebody making fun of it in a music video. It was like really racist too, because they had like these Japanese businessmen in suits running around with like money in their hands, and it was apparently was making reference to that deal.
Right.
So ever since then, and Wings. I don't like Paul McCartney.
When I think of Wings, I don't think of Paul McCartney. I think of a really bad sitcom from the 80s or the early 90s or whenever that was.
Was it bad? I didn't think it was that bad.
I don't know. I watched like 5 minutes of one episode and I never watched it again. Like literally, I think there were shows on either side of it I liked to watch. I would actually turn off the TV and walk away for that one.
Yeah. Tony Shalhoub, man. That guy's awesome.
We should actually have a segment where we trash like treasured celebrity icons, right? Like.
So you mean like people who love these celebrities and we just find like the worst things to say about them?
Yeah, exactly.
So who would be an example?
Paul McCartney is a great example. Like I think he was kind of the dumb Beatle.
Yeah.
I think in general the Beatles are overrated. Right? I think they're overrated. I think they're
like them.
Totally overrated. If they were a band now, nobody would listen to them.
No, but you can't say that. You can't. It's a period.
Say that.
It's a period of time that
I'm sorry. People would listen to the Rolling Stones now if they came out. And I'm not even a big Rolling Stones fan.
People listen to the Beatles now too. They do.
No. I mean, if they were new. If the Rolling Stones were like a new group that came out, people would probably listen to them. If the Beatles were a new group that came out, people would be going like, meh.
Okay, so they're brand new, but you mean like at the age that they're now, or what they used to?
No, what they used to be. If the Beatles, as young men, started doing that, I'm not saying successful because like times change and all that kind of crap. I just don't think their music would catch on. And I'm not saying that people have great taste now. That's not what I'm saying either, because like pop music now is like shit.
Yeah, pop music is different today. I mean, like,
I think Beatles are overrated.
Can we even classify that as pop music though? I mean, it's rock and roll, right? For the Stones at least. The Beatles are poppy music though. I mean, especially in the beginning of their career. But I don't think
they're doing like 50 standards basically.
Yeah, I mean, there are groups who are. Yeah, I don't even know who.
They're overrated. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying like people thinking that they're the greatest rock group in the history of rock. I'm like, no, they're not. They were just like really lucky. They're part of a cultural phenomenon that was like huge, and I think for that they need to be. You can't ignore them.
Right.
And not that they don't have any good songs.
Who would they? Like, you don't listen to that type of music, so you're not. I can't ask you.
What 60s rock? Yeah.
Like
sure.
I'm thinking like One Direction, right? Their fucking music sucks. Like it's suck. Awful. And I know people who like are our age that listen to them. And like guys who listen to them too, and I just can't get into them. But they're the new equivalent to, what the Beatles were back then in the 60s.
Well, not really, because they're manufactured. Whereas the Beatles actually, to everything else I might say against them, they at least formed organically. It wasn't some manager chose like 4 or 5 random guys and threw them together.
Right, but that's
the way bands get put together now.
We're living in a time of American Idol and fucking X Factor and all that bullshit. That's the way how bands form now. That's just the way how that's just how the bones roll, buddy. Making a Rush comment reference, but back then, I almost say that up until the 80s, people formed bands on their own, and then in the 80s. When you
that's not true. They were manufactured bands.
And
New Kids on the Block was not a new.
I'm talking about pop.
How many of them? No, I'm talking about pop. The Monkees were constructed.
The Monkees were just a parody of the Beatles.
Dude, they were more popular than the Beatles for a few years.
Well, yeah,
they were bigger than the fucking Beatles. And the only reason they fell apart was because the guys in the band wanted to actually do their own thing, because they were actually all really good musicians, but because of being on the TV show, for appearances they had to play instruments they weren't that good at.
Right.
So like the guy who plays the drums on the show is actually like a better guitar player, and do you know what I mean? Like none of them were doing what they were best at.
Right.
So that I mean the Monkees get shit on people like, oh, they didn't play their own songs and they didn't write their own, like in those days almost nobody did.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, and even like I'm not sure of the Beatles, but like, well, no, of course the Beatles use studio musicians. There are fucking like strings on some. I don't think fucking Ringo was playing the fucking cello on some of those tracks.
No,
with, like,
no, probably not. No, they never denied that. They had other people coming in, but I mean, like they wrote their own songs as opposed to, you know, like they were in the studio with these musicians saying, no, do it again, and you know, like they got the final word, and with George Martin, right? Like it wasn't like. It was the fact that we know that George Martin and the Beatles really, you know, hung out in these studios and did all that stuff. It is, I know that compared to, you know, a Britney Spears song where she has an entire team called the Matrix, you know, putting together her songs. I'm just, you know, like any popular group that's out now, like a pop group. I mean, not like alternative or rock and roll or whatever.
Well, it's really manufactured.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, a lot of the alternative and rock and roll groups are manufactured too.
They are. I'm not saying that they're not, but I'm just thinking that
it's manufactured.
Yeah, I know, which is sad because I know that she writes her own songs, but I don't know if you know she does that anymore.
If she writes her own songs. But anyway, we got off track.
The point was that Paul McCartney is an idiot.
He is an idiot.
We can agree on that.
Yeah. So the idea is, maybe we can make a segment where we diss some really respected
I
celebrity.
think we just did. But you know what? I'm going to go as far. I'm going to go further than you and say that I think that John Lennon wouldn't be admired today if he was still alive. As much as he is now.
No. I like John Lennon. But I don't think he wasn't a mental giant by any stretch of the imagination.
I think that if he was still around, he probably would have been like this washed-up celebrity who's trying to be relevant still, and he may have produced like more music, like better music than anything that Paul McCartney could have thought of, but he would have been kind of like the George Harrison, you know, that we like the music that he still produced good music in the 80s and the 90s. And so that's, you know, and if not produced his own, he was always on, you know, he was doing other things. Like he did the Traveling Wilburys, for Christ's sake, which I think they're a fantastic band. And it's a shame that they didn't really release anything else. But that was a collab that was cool because, you know, Dylan and Tom Petty and those guys, they are all like-minded. And what's his name?
Who was the other one?
Roy
Orbison?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That guy, the four of them together, so cool, man.
Was it only the four of them?
Awesome.
I thought there was another one.
There was another guy with like curly hair and the drummer. I can't remember what his name is.
Traveling Wilburys are fantastic.
Yeah. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if John Lennon were alive. He probably would have joined that band. He would have been. Because I think he and George were okay. It was really Paul that pissed everybody off, right?
He's just not. He just doesn't strike me as that bright. He just does not strike me as that bright.
Does Ringo though?
Yeah, but no, not really. But Ringo was like sort of just focused on what he wanted to do. I mean, Ringo wanted to be a hairdresser, right?
Did he?
He was like, yeah. As soon as he left the Beatles, he's like open dressing chair. Apparently, that's what he wanted. He was just an amateur drummer originally. In terms of not an amateur drummer, he was a gigging drummer.
He didn't.
He was he ended up just being along for the ride. He was like the last member to join, right? Because they went through a few other drummers
Pete Best,
first.
Right? Pete Best was the original drummer.
Yeah. Oh no.
Stewart was a guitarist.
He was the guitarist.
Yeah. Going with the Backbeat story, that movie.
Yeah.
Pete Best's, I think I saw him on Oprah, and I think he was like, you know, still surprised that they got rid of him. But Ringo, like Phil Collins is a pretty accomplished drummer, and you know, people, you know, knock Ringo, but I remember seeing a Sgt. Pepper documentary saying, Phil Collins saying that some of the stuff that he did was incredible. Where he would listen to, like, John Lennon would play Ringo like an album of some group, and he'd be like, do something like this, and then Ringo would be like, those are two guys drumming, you know, like that's two people, and then he would just do it. Should we just keep it on Paul McCartney? I think that's
for now. Yeah, we'll do another segment another time on some other idiot celebrity.
Yeah, that's perfect. Is there anything in particular that you don't like about Paul McCartney? Because I feel like I've done all the talking about him.
No, I just told you. I don't think he's very. I just don't think he's smart. And I don't
Besides the
particularly
Kanye thing, was there anything else that made you think that he wasn't smart? Like
No,
"Live and
you
Let
just
Die."
say
Is that
wrong.
is that a bad song?
You can write a good song and not be smart,
I see.
right? And I'm
Yeah.
not saying he's never written any good songs. I think he's written some good songs, but I think it's like when you write that many songs, some of them are going to be good.
Some of them.
It's like sort of the opposite of Bob Dylan. Like if you write that many songs, some of them are going to be bad. Right, I'd say the sort of opposite. I mean, don't get me started. I don't think Bob Dylan is a mental giant either. But compared to Paul McCartney,
What are you talking about nowadays, or like back in the day?
ever,
Really?
I don't think he's like super
I
smart.
find that surprising because I know that you like him a lot.
I really like Bob Dylan, and I just don't think that brains are what make him special.
Yeah.
I don't know why I can't. He's just he was first of all, he was in the right place at the right time. He's got like a really good mind for, like, he's always changing with the times, which is huge.
Because the times are changing.
Oh, good God. I mean, he's not a good musician. He's not a great singer. He's better than people give him credit for, but he's not a great singer. But he's good, and he writes good songs.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why, but he's good. And I don't know that I'd want to hang out with him, but I like to listen to his music.
Isn't that funny how you sort of like you think about that nowadays? You know how like they say don't meet your heroes because you'll just be disappointed.
Right.
And I think that I feel that a lot about like I would never want to meet Woody Allen ever. I'm not saying that he's like a hero anymore. I enjoy his films, but I think over the years I just sort of said to myself, I don't think I would ever want to meet him.
I wouldn't want to meet him either, but that's just because I don't think we'd have anything to talk about.
Yeah. Like he's from like a different time almost, and it's not
Yeah.
an age thing. It's just sort of, I don't know.
Yeah. No, there's
Um,
some people I really respect who I would like to meet, but
Bob Dylan. There's actually a story about I think John Lennon meeting Bob Dylan because he was a huge fan of his.
yeah, this in the '60s they met, like when
And
Bob
he
Dylan
was-
went on his England trip,
Oh, did he?
the first tour, I think.
Did
The
they get
first or
along?
second.
Because I think.
Yeah, the Beatles. Bob Dylan introduced the Beatles to weed, apparently.
Oh, did he?
Yeah,
That's funny.
yeah, they were in
And,
total awe. They were all like, "Oh, Bob
Yeah.
Dylan's," because he was bigger than them at the time.
He was huge, right?
Yeah, and for a while they were, afterwards they of course became bigger than him. But like, yeah, who's still around?
Right.
Who's got a better career of actually still making good music, Paul McCartney or Bob Dylan? Bob
Yeah,
Dylan
well.
still records good music,
Hmm.
and he doesn't do team ups with idiots all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Paul McCartney will team up with anybody. Next week, who? Stan Lee,
Marvel team up.
the Marvel team up. That could be another
Um,
sacred cow we could talk about at some point. Is Stan Lee.
Stan Lee. I agree. I totally
It's
agree
like-
with you. Yeah.
I'm so sick of seeing his. I was watching Agent Carter, and like, I'm so sick of seeing his fucking face in everything. It's like, oh my god, you got a cameo on this too. Holy shit!
On
recently-
TV shows. Yeah, no. I wasn't
Someone
expecting
recently
that to.
Someone who
do
really
that.
likes him was saying, oh, I wish I could think of a way to get him to come to Japan so I can meet him. And I was like, just tell him there's a cameo.